Hello there, my name's Ian, and welcome to my YouTube channel. So today, I've assembled a cast of friends to talk about the new album from Cardiacs. This is LSD. And I was just so inspired by this album because for those of you who know anything about Cardiacs, Tim Smith suffered, I believe, a simultaneous heart attack and stroke in 2007 or 2008, and remained for the rest of his life. Was, his mind was active, but basically was unable to function otherwise, which is very sad. It's a very sad position for an artist to be in. And so over the past, what was it, like 4 or 5 years, his buddies have kind of come together and created this community in which they went back to his original demos and original recordings and finished this album. And he did oversee this in the final years of his life, which is a very unique thing, especially for a posthumous release. And in listening to this album and being very inspired by the story, I thought, well, gee, I ought to collect my friends together and my Cardiacs buddies together to talk about this. So I'm going to introduce everybody. I've got Larry Schorr here. Larry is a concert photographer and has appeared on the channel before talking about his MyPixRock website, which I will link in the description. Larry has photographed possibly all of the greats, everybody from Genesis, Frank Zappa, Pink Floyd, the Grateful Dead, Peter Gabriel, Jethro Tull, all of my favorite bands, I think Larry has photographed. What's that?
All through the 70s.
And through the 70s, yeah. So he photographed them at their heyday. And what impresses me about Larry's photography is he's able to take these legends and make them so approachable and human and down to earth. So thanks for joining us today, Larry. Good to see you.
Good to be here.
And from Sweden, we have Pontus, who's a friend of mine going back more than 10 years now, and was a listener of my show. So good to see you, Pontus. First time on the channel, right?
Yeah, it's great to be here. I've known Ian since he did, deep prog rock, deep cuts was your first podcast. I stumbled over that, and we've been friends ever since. And I've been on the prog corner, and I've been on the contrarians. So it's great to be here.
Yeah, it's good to see you, man. And like when we bumped into each other on Scott Lade's show a couple months back, I was so excited. So we're going to have you back in the near future. And returning to the channel is my friend Gavin Wallace Aylesworth. Returning to the channel is my friend Gavin Wallace Aylesworth, drummer extraordinaire from the band Bent Knee. And I was just talking kind of briefly before we were getting started that, again, over 10 years ago, whenever Shiny Eyed Babies had just come out, I wrote a message in the Cardiacs Facebook group, and I said, anybody a fan of this great band, Bent Knee? And Gavin appears in the comments and says, hey, I'm the drummer of that band. And we've been friends ever since. So it's good to have you back on the channel, Gavin. Good to see you, my friend.
Here. Yeah, good to see you.
And last, but certainly not least, my graphic designer and friend of many years, Eric Kearns, returning to the channel. Last time you were on was with the Moon X guys. So it's good to have you back. And what's significant about Eric's participation in this particular conversation is that Eric knows this whole extended alphabet business concern universe. Eric has hung out with Tim and knows a lot of these people personally, probably has insights that the others won't have or I won't have. And kind of most significantly, I introduced Eric to Cardiacs. And I've always felt so honored that I introduced him to, I think they're now your favorite band or one of your favorite bands.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I confidently say it's my favorite band. And that's huge. I mean, Zappa was my guy, forever, and still is, but I reach for Cardiacs constantly, all the time.
Well, that's great. So we're going to talk about this new record, LSD, which has been something like almost 20 years in the making. And I think at one point I kind of thought it was never going to happen. So I'm going to start by kind of giving my general impressions, and then I'll turn it over to you guys. So when I'm listening to this, I find interesting is when Gavin and I were kind of talking privately before this. Gavin, you mentioned that you hear a lot of sea nymphs in this. And that was like my immediate thought was that this album, LSD, is like the sea nymphs merged with like the last two Cardiacs albums. So like Guns and Sing to God all come together with that sea nymphs kind of ethereal sound and kind of the punk prog thing going on. And what we get here is 80 minutes of really wonderful, joyous music. And you can hear the performer's passion for the material as well as the composer. And I find that a very inspiring thing. It's kind of hard to pick out like individual tracks that I like the most. But I do think the single Wooden Eye is fantastic, with kind of like that punky guitar thing going on, the staccato thing, and new singer. This is Mike Van Aert, who's singing from Ocean Size. Yeah. And that's a favorite of mine. I also really enjoy the track Skating, which they said in the liner notes, Tim was influenced by the Mr. Bungle album California. And I kind of picked up that right away with like the constant changing and the genre skipping. But I also hear like a little bit of say like mid 80s, late 80s Cardiacs with songs like The Duck and Roger the Horse. I hear
a lot of Zappa.
And a lot of Zappa. And there's even like a kind of Twin Peaksy and David Lynch 50s vibe that kind of pops in and out everywhere.
Yeah.
The song Busty Bees is fantastic, which opens up the second disc. It's kind of more classical, like something Messiaen would do. It's kind of more like an environment. The remake of Ditzy Scene is fantastic. And just as like a general comment, I love the use of brass and strings and choral voices. This whole project, and I promise I'm going to let you guys talk, but this whole project was kind of produced and overseen by Tim's brother, Jim Smith, and Kavas Tarabi. And it's a love letter to his whole legacy. They brought new singer Mike Van Aert in, and he does a wonderful job. He's a bit lower than Tim. And I think if I have one criticism, I do miss Tim's voice, because that is kind of like the punctuation of all Cardiacs tracks, all Cardiacs music. So those are kind of my general thoughts. And I'm going to turn it over to you guys. So I think I introduced Larry first, and Larry's got all these notes together. So Larry, tell us what you think of this new record.
Well, when I first picked up on Cardiacs, I'd heard about this. They were working on a double LP called LSD, and I was thinking, oh, that sure sounds tasty, doesn't it? I wonder if it could ever possibly see the light of day. And I thought there would be no way in the world. And here it is. So when I first went to YouTube and heard the single Wooden Eye, when they put it up there, yeah, okay, all right. We're back. We're happening here. And then the other singles that they put on there was the same. I got the album like about a week early, even coming over to the U.S. I don't know why. But since then, I've probably listened to it about 12 times by now at this point. I love the masked choral stuff and horns. I've liked that through Cardiac's whole career. That's always been some of my favorite stuff, is when they have these big masked vocals coming in and horn sections doing oompa stuff and all the rest of that. And this album is just so full of all of that. Mm-hmm. Sure, I miss Tim's voice, but this is just, it's a somewhat slightly different animal, but not that much of a different one.
I would agree with that. Like, Tim's spirit definitely lives through this music. And, his voice may not be there, but it has that character to it. And I was kind of amazed. Like, I went to bed last night after listening to this, and various little bits and pieces of all the songs just kept running through my mind. And it's like a normal band might have 2 or 3 hooks a song, and Cardiacs seem to have anywhere between 15 and 30. And they really do. They're earworms. Like, they really do get in your head.
That's really the beauty of Tim's music, is it really can be applied to any genre, like any instrumentation, any way you want to do it. you're going to hear Tim. And you know, that was hard for me too, Larry. Like, that voice it's something, but that music it pushed right through. And yes, I miss it. I miss his voice immensely, but you can hear it sometimes just in there. You know, they if he did guide vocals or any of those things, I'm not sure. I didn't read the story yet. Shame on me. But I don't know if any of that was like kept in, any of the rough stuff.
It was.
Yeah, it was. It was. I think it's been. I mean, I also read Carvis's book while preparing for this. He wrote the book together with Steve Davis, and because they made a radio show together, and they also have the Utopia Strong group together. And he talks about Tim in the book, and he talks about Tim's accident, how it affected him and the rest of the group, because they were that's the book. You should go and read it, and you should really take time to read all the read it all and listen to the lists of all the records they recommend. You're gonna be bonkers. They just as eccentric as Tim was. So, but I felt so. I hear the turmoil, I hear the grief, and I hear the triumph in the record. This is a labor of love from these people, from all Tim's friends. They really, really did everything they could, including his brother, to make this a final statement for what Tim does and did, and what Tim Smith brought to British music. And it comes through, and it's 80 minutes of, the music is very complex. I mean, it helps that you are a Frank Zappa fan or a King Crimson fan to understand this, and it helps to know a bit about British eccentricity as well, because it's those quantum leaps that they always do musically. I call it almost jumping octaves. Sort of, it starts somewhere, then when you're suddenly on another platform. I mean, Skating is a fantastic song. It goes everywhere. The Busting Bees is this sort of song that gradually grows and grows and grows and grows into this enormous, intense moment. It feels like the Beatles. I Want You, She's So Heavy, the ending of that. I hear a lot of that. I mean, it's orchestral. I mean, Greg Fortnum, who has a lot of bands now, North Sea Radio Orchestra and Arch Garrison and all sorts of things, has done wonders with all those arrangements, because they really enhance the songs. And if you read the book, there is actually two books in the CD set, one with the lyrics and one with the whole story. And it's a tremendous story how how Craig and Tim went through the material while Tim was sick, and some of this was done in lockdown, and then in 2021 they started recording it, and they went back to the 2007 recordings that Carvis and Tim had done. So it's definitely a Cardiac's album. It's sad that Tim is not singing on it, but he's there in spirit. He's there all the time. You can feel him. I mean, it was really emotional hearing it. You really felt that was labor of love, the whole 80 minutes of it, especially the last track, which I never learned how to to tell.
I was just going to say, I can't finish it. I finished it once, and I cried my eyes out the first time, and now I can't do it. I get halfway in, and I cut it off. It's like the whole world's going to end if that song finishes.
Yeah. I understand what you're feeling.
That was Tim saying goodbye and fading out. And that probably brings the tears every single time. But I can see him doing that. So
yeah.
Listening horrible emotions from me, you bastard.
Oh, it's okay.
I mean, it's kind of for that reason that it took me a while to be able to even listen to this album. I had a very similar thing after David Bowie passed away with Black Star, because I hadn't, in the 2 days between Black Star coming out and Bowie passing away, I just hadn't had time to listen to the album. But then it became like, oh my God, this is the final statement, from this, totemic hero for me. And I very much had the same thing with LSD, where it took me a while to be able to sit down and want to have that kind of final experience for the first time. And I mean, ultimately, I've now heard it a bunch of times, and it's amazing. It's a love letter both to and from Tim Smith. There are, you can hear, I on first listen, it immediately jumped out that oh yeah, there's a lot of kind of stuff that I would have thought would fit on the Sea Nymphs albums kind of stuff, obviously slightly retooled, less drums, but listening through it multiple times, it's oh yeah, I can kind of hear certain tracks and certain parts that could fit in, either on the Spratlys albums or on Extra Special Ocean Land World.
I love that.
Yeah, that's an amazing album. It's just kind of so expansive in what it does. It's I of course miss hearing his voice too, but I mean the vocals that are on this album are incredible. Mike Van Aert is
Sharon,
phenomenal.
Sharon,
Yeah. The
female, Guns vocals are in there, and you get those tones, those sounds, that synthesizer, the keyboard sound, from Jitterbug. It just creeps in there.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, Busy Bee or Busty Bees. That just trucks along in those similar kind of growing, expanding. Is it getting higher in notation? Is it not? I don't know. The back end of Jitterbug blows your mind. And I mean, serious musicians that I know are I don't know what the fuck he's doing, kind of in a way.
Yeah, that sounds so good. It
does.
The sound of the record is just fantastic.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. Who mixed and mastered this? I know that they went through a long process in finding just the right person.
I know they wanted Devin Townsend, from what I understand. Yeah.
I don't think he was available. Yeah. But they were talking about how, Tim had a very claustrophobic kind of toppy sound to his mixes, his masters, and Jim wanted to honor that. But they were able to find somebody who I think was able to capture that claustrophobia. Yeah, Adam Noble.
Yeah, Adam Noble.
Yeah, he was able to honor that claustrophobic Tim Smith signature sound, but he was able to give it so much clarity. Now, something that somebody involved with the band has mentioned to me, and I can't remember exactly who at this point, but somebody told me one time that most of the drums in Cardiac studio albums were triggers, or drum machines or something like that, because Tim couldn't always afford sessions. And I think that something that also sets this album apart sonically is that Bob Leith recorded all of his drums in a room. And that's a big deal for me.
Yeah, Bob. My friend Nathan, we all we both chat with Bob occasionally, and I texted him and asked him about that. And my buddy Nathan said that he asked Bob specifically about learning skating, and he just sort of laughed, he just said it was like, yeah, that took forever. I mean, when I pride myself in being able to kind of track down what's going on things like that, and then you hear that and you go, oh, ideal's like baby doo-doo compared to that.
Oh yeah.
You're like, wait, where's one? Okay, that's okay, forget it, whatever.
Ideal at least has like a looping section in it. You can kind of track the beginning of that thing. Skating is just this marvelous through composed thing. Yeah.
I'm dying to find money to get over there for March.
Oh, me too.
I want to hear that stuff. And they're going to nail it. But, man.
So there will be shows?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, three shows?
Manchester, London, and I think...
Scotland, somewhere in Scotland.
Yeah.
Looking forward to the live
anniversary. I'm kind of like, anniversary's on the 12th, so I can't do that. So.
Yeah, but my first reaction to skating was, oh my God, what the hell was that? like I just kept staring at my speakers in disbelief, like, where is this going to go next?
Another bar, another measure, and you're like, holy shit, it's going more and more.
And it suddenly stops. And it goes in a different direction, really, and it's just fantastic. I mean,
that's the thing that's so brilliant about the band. I mean, do a massive key change, do a completely different thing, just like throw a massive roadblock in the middle of the song. That's where I love it. That's why I love the band.
Yeah.
And a mutual friend of mine and Gavin's, and I'm guessing you'll know who this is, wrote me and was like, dude, I don't get cardiacs. it's like 200,000 chord changes underneath like just a normal pop melody. And I've been thinking about that for the past like couple of weeks since he said that. And it was like, but that's the thing that it's not the chord changes that draw me in. It's the melodies.
And it's the way that the chord changes affect the way you're processing the melody.
Yeah.
Too, right? It's if you look at something like if you look at like a Zappa piece, right? Something like Alien Orifice or something. A lot of that is, if I'm remembering right, a lot of it is just kind of two chords back and forth with that insane, over the top. To me, a lot of in Tim's writing, the chord movements along with what's happening on the melody, it just works together to give you that that feeling. And you know, Cardiac's fans, that feeling that you get.
And the texture that he throws underneath it all is lurking constantly, and you don't understand how much it's influencing you at the same time.
Oh yeah.
And it feels like they captured it on these recording as well, because the recordings are very dense. There's lots of things going on. There is this kaleidoscope of sound in those songs. It's no wonder it's called LSD. It's
what else could it be called?
It's a good trip.
Hey.
I tried licking all of them on the back of here.
I said it in I'm part of the Now Spinning magazine group. I said, this is the first time I bought the album, and I said to them, this is the first time I bought LSD in public.
There will be a legitimate drop for me. I am going to put this album on and do it. So, I told her.
There you go.
I'm going to drop LSD. Fine.
What about the CD through Amazon? And it was funny. The thing I get from Amazon said, your LSD is being shipped.
That's just wonderful.
I was thinking, gee, that's going to cause a problem in customs,
What do you got in the box? Whole bunch of LSD.
I tell you, you're talking about chords and stuff. I don't know very much about how music is written and how it's constructed and all that stuff, but I know what I like. But Spelled All Wrong was the first one that kind of hit me in the head on this. It just had signature Tim all over it.
Is that the one that's kind of Beatlesy? Am I thinking of the right?
Yeah, it has a great jam in the end.
Yeah. It all runs together for me right now.
That's the problem I have too.
20 times probably for me at this point. That's crazy. Every single day I'd play it at least twice for at least the first week. I just couldn't stop myself. It was like, well, time to do it again. Had to do it.
I've had certain songs on loop. Men in Bed, I mean, from the first moment I heard that song, right? Like just that opening. It's just, I mean, some of my favorite Tim Smith related material of all time is that first See Nims album.
Right.
Mine Up too. In Annie's Room is like a towering achievement of music. And to me, Men in Bed is in that same vein, right?
Absolutely.
And it's just so grandiose and beautiful and like, I'm still trying to, it's a fun song to try and air drum to, hitting all those.
yeah.
Those,
because it is a very pompous sort of beginning.
Oh yeah.
It reminds me of a Home of Fadeless Splendor.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. The way it came in like that. And now, has anyone studied the lyrics or anything on these at all?
I'm trying.
Not much.
I'm trying to learn them because I love singing to Tim's songs and doing live shows of covering Tim's songs and learning his lyrics. It's so fucking bonkers because none of those words want to be with each other.
Yes.
And you can't really just memorize them as a conversation or you're just speaking. The combinations of things he puts together in lyrics are so fucked. And like singing Gina Lollobrigida or Wooden Fish on Wheels for me, I learned those. And oh my God, it gives you such appreciation to where the inflection is and where it's landing in the music and how important it is for that music.
I, for a while, wanted to cover Fast Robert with a solo group that I had. So I charted the song out. And especially the I'm still having my morning coffee, so I can't really sing right now. But the like Day or Year part, and right before that, the way that those vocals sit over what's going on in the rhythm section, guitar included, is insanity. It's so
play and sing at the same time. Some of these things.
Like It's a Lovely Day, right? That guitar part is just otherworldly.
Well, I'm not a musician at all, but I like reading the lyrics and listening to the lyrics for the imagery that they let me put in my head and feelings I get from them, because not very many of them are literal. It's a lot of imagery coming out that you can develop some kind of a feeling about. Men in Bed, for example. I have to say, I love the opening line, "Open up, here comes the sunny side of every sin."
Yeah.
I think that's great stuff. It really is. And then I'm wondering, okay, the chorus in that, I surrender, I surrender. Who's he surrendering to is the question I'm kind of wondering. There's so many religious and death symbols in there, like there isn't so much of his stuff. And like so much of his stuff, it ain't happy songs. They're not very happy songs either. This is dark stuff, and it kind of always has been for the most part. And I love that. That's one thing that appeals to me real lot.
Yeah, they talk a little bit about how the lyrics were constructed in the booklet, and I can't remember who was responsible for this. It might have been Fortnum,
Yeah.
But he was going into, with Tim's permission, he was going into Tim's archives and pulling stuff, like and anything from like notebooks to texts he had sent his partners over the years, just any little thing that he had collected, and they would put them next to the melodies and just see what fit. So it was kind of like constructed out of context like that. So his lyrics kind of remind me of like Burroughs, the cut up technique.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm not an English speaking person. English is my second language. So I tried to make sense out of the lyrics, but I couldn't make any, as you say, it's imaginary. It paints pictures rather than tells clear stories. I mean, it's powerful when you hear someone say, I surrender, when you know what's going on with him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, surrendering to his illness, this is how life is, or is it something else? I mean, Greg Fortnum, there was another fun story where Greg actually took and pasted lyrics to one of the songs, and he deliberately mimicked the way Tim sang,
right,
and punctuated the wrong words. Mm-hmm. So it was so the synthesis was on end rather than the word after it. So Tim was impressed by that, I know.
I was going to say, it reminds me of Melt Banana in the way she sings on, if you've ever heard Melt Banana, the inflection, the weirdest parts. And because English is, obviously a second or third language for her, it's even more demented. But the song that got me the most is By Numbers, and it's the one I play the most. And it's one of Baba's favorites too, but that was another case where the lyrics, I was like, I have to learn the lyrics. And the first set of lyrics are Stretcher Case, Smiles a Load.
Oh, yeah.
And the way that it's sung, you're like, how do I sing this? Because they're like jamming a word into a tiny little space, like Stretcher Case, Smile. You can't even figure out where to fucking say it.
Volob has that same thing with like Flower Day being Flower Day.
Right.
Yeah. So good.
So Eric, you heard some of this material in progress, right?
When I was over, I heard, Tim put a snippet on a radio show. That was the first bit that people heard. And it's funny, you should go back and listen to that now and hear what he was playing and kind of compare what was there. It's tough to hear it.
It was Wooden Eye, right?
Yes, I think it was. I had heard bits and pieces from some people close to the band when I was over there, but not very much. Just a bit here and there. But I couldn't have told you what they were at all. And then when I heard Tim's snippet of Wooden Eye, I was like, oh yeah, that's what I heard. But very, very different. It's such a lush and amazing recording, though. So
it came a long way from the demos that you heard. That's kind of what I was interested in.
I think. Well, what I remember specifically was unchanged. The chords I heard, I think I still hear those. Wooden Eye was there. It was good. Listening to Cavus's little video he did like a month ago about this brings a little more insight to that too. What they had down maybe at the time. Snazzy chords, stuff like that.
Yeah, it's my understanding that Tim did a lot of like guide vocals for this stuff, and a lot of his guitar parts were down. So oftentimes when you're hearing guitar, you're hearing Tim, and when it's Cavus, you can kind of tell because Cavus has a very specific tone and style, and it's beautiful.
Well, Tim's credited with like guitars and keyboards on almost every song on here.
Yeah,
if you look at the credits,
Yeah, so they tried to keep as much of him on the record as they could.
And Cavus brings that sort of twangy, jangly, almost country vibe to it.
Right, yeah.
It really works. Really
I think his solos are the best I've heard him do.
Oh
on
yeah.
this record.
They're
He's really stepped up.
So, any other favorite songs on these? I was kind of there was 2 or 3. Like, I want to come back to Ditzy Scene because like that main kind of choral thing with the brass.
Yeah.
That's a hook, man.
Elevated. It's so nice with those horns.
Yeah.
You know, all those previous songs, I heard some grumbling about those being changed, and I get it. But now I have 2 versions.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, they made it even better for me on some of those because the fucking trumpets are just so goddamn awesome.
Yeah.
I love Gem.
Yes.
Gem is a very good. The way that the May and Gem blends together is just fantastic, I think.
Blew my mind when I first heard that. Yeah. And the May is a favorite for me as well. It reminds me a lot of like it feels like it's in the vein of like There's Good Cud.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
That kind of song, but you know, phenomenal. Breed is one that gets me too.
Yeah.
I like Breed a lot. Yeah.
It's just got a really pleasant vibe to it.
Yeah.
Breed, it just keeps the same rhythm and stuff just going through the entire song, which is something you don't see very often.
Yeah.
I mean, Tim loved the sea and the ocean and everything going on, and it just has like that rocking kind of just cruising along, you know. It's so wonderful.
Yeah.
And they take out the songs really well. They place those breaks and those really nice, less energy type songs in a good spot.
I don't know if it's Down Up or a roll from a dirty place.
I love that one.
I love that sort of I get up, I get down.
Yeah.
Bit. I love that. You know, it's
Lovely Eyes has a great back end to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Really kicks up some dust and yeah. I mean, we could go on about every damn song, and every song is going to be my favorite song for a day here and there, you know. And it's so amazing.
And Lovely Eyes, it's very rare that I hear, you know, a Cardiacs or Tim Smith related song and go, I think I have a very clear idea of what this is about. But to me, Lovely Eyes is about touring and playing on stage. At least to me, that's what I kind of get out of it. That you know, I want that thing to go all over the stupid place, and I will try my hardest to make it all over the stupid place. You know, you want to take your music everywhere. You want to be on stage everywhere. The audiences often do have lovely eyes. You know,
I think
it's a great perspective. I hadn't thought about it like that. Yeah, and being a guy who's toured and been everywhere doing that, that's great.
There was something about Lovely Eyes that reminded me of Sparks. In fact, there's a few things on here that I hear some Sparks in there as well. This, I mean, blood is the clothes you wear. That's the kind of dark imagery I really kind of like a lot. A lot of drugs, crazy colors, magic, distant east, a whole lot of interesting stuff like that he puts in it. But yeah, I like the part towards the end where the strings and the horns join in with the guitar and all the rest of that as well. Is a really powerful part.
I wanted to ask you guys what you get out of Drunk Among Strangers, Leather Than Bored Senses. I was trying to figure this one out with my wife the other day, and I was like, what possibly could that mean? You know, I don't know.
I sometimes get from, you know, I'm also a huge Talking Heads fan, David Byrne, you know, and to me, a lot of that is more just about that the individual imagery and the individual feelings that get associated with each.
It's an abstraction.
Yeah, and that idea of being, you know, almost like drunk in a leather jacket in a bar, dulled, you know.
Yeah. The senses are just gone, and you
can also mean that you're sort of a public person among strangers. They know you, but you don't know them.
It's like Neil
Which
Peart.
one are we talking about here?
Can I be friends with people I've never met, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Mm.
They walk up to you.
Remind Larry where we are.
Oh, that's in Wooden Eye, right? The
Yeah.
drunk one stranger.
Oh, okay, we're moving on.
Yeah.
It just keeps going up. Those choruses and
Oh yeah, that beautiful like thing where it keeps rising and building. Yeah.
One of those small details I realized when I listened to it is it's a song by Numbers. It opens with someone going no 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 in the background, and it adds to the eccentricity of it all. And I think that we talked before we started, we talked about incorporating English sort of hymns and
Brass band music.
and Christmas songs and carols and stuff like that, because that is, the big sort of choir thing going is, it feels very British. I mean, I love North Sea Radio Orchestra, where Greg Fortnum worked with choirs and a lot of stuff, and that is just, hearing it here, it's just fantastic.
Yeah,
as you say, there's small melodies going every time,
right,
like in the background and things like that.
One thing about Wooded Eye that I found really interesting was how Mike Van Art barks those lyrics like a dog, and they're all over Cardiac stuff. But
it's like
things right out.
Yeah, it's Come Back Clammy Lammy.
Yeah.
And there's a story in the booklet where they're talking about that, and he just kind of came up with that whole idea of barking lyrics, because they had the chorus, but they didn't have the melody. And he showed that to Tim, and Tim loved it. He said, I basically just did what Tim would do. And Tim loved it. So I think if we could kind of summarize sort of where we're all coming from at this moment, I feel like this album is a summation of everything that Cardiacs have done. It's not just the Guns album, Sing to God album, Sea Nymphs, his solo record Ocean Land World. It's kind of everything. And there's a space for kind of like the prog punk thing, the prog thing. There's space for, again, the brass band, which we heard all the way going back to songs like I'm Eating in Bed. That was kind of where that first started to appear. And you get kind of the poppy stuff. There's stuff on here that makes me think of XTC, or I think, as Ponta said, Larry said Sparks. Like I hear the Sparks thing. And what a beautiful coda this is for the Cardiacs catalog. And it's like, I don't know how you guys feel about Guns, the album, of course. I don't know how you guys feel about the Guns album, but I always really liked it. And it seems like a lot of fans don't. And I know that...
That's what got me in, was Guns.
Yeah, it's one of the most approachable ones. And Jitterbug is so cool.
That's the one I kept coming back to over and over and over, because it was so proggy.
Yeah.
Mine is Sing to God. I mean, it's just fantastic.
Guns is the one. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, but I feel like Ian was saying that this is sort of a closure.
Yes.
For all the things that was, both, as I say, as you said, it's a love letter from Tim and to Tim, and it's like a sort of a epitaph to what was, and you get a feeling that they are very they get the sense of relief and release putting this music out there.
That's very beautifully stated.
We're going through the last two songs on this album, Made All Up and Pez Pheasant, And lyrically, they're both songs that are about Tim and the putting together of this album. Made All Up was the lyrics are written by Kavis Daravi. And he is all up on the dry ground. It's the one thing, no, you can't wake up out of it, wake up into it, dead. He just can never be built back together as anything, as can be built right back together by us, ain't he? Since his living, still we call him till you die out of this place. He can tell you all you nearly need to know. What's more, you don't know, all hero. And that's how Made All Up starts. And on Pheasant, which was the lyrics were written by Emily Ashworth Jones. Glory lies on the ground, as bright as our eyes shine. Glory lies on the ground, all pointing our beaks up into the sky. There you go. That's and then it does that beautiful fade out of that gorgeous melody. My goodness, Pheasant has such an amazing melody to that thing.
Yeah.
Emily was with Tim a lot. Emily was with Tim a lot towards the end. She was caretaker, and yeah, she's a wonderful person. Got to meet her when we visited Tim at the facility.
Very nice.
So you wrote me something very cryptic, Eric. 2 words: Vermin Mangle. You want to expound on Vermin Mangle?
Some of us were kind of wondering why that maybe wasn't the last song, but you know, they could have held that one back. I loved it that it came out when it did. It's a very hard one for me to listen to. I've really probably only listened to it straight through 5 times. It's too beautiful for me to take in. It would have been a really wonderful one to end this album with, but you know, I love how they ended it. But that was another one of those sort of end game ones for Tim, and you just can't. I can't put into words how beautiful that song is. Gets me choked up.
Yeah, I've actually not heard the song, so I'm just kind of. Eric brought that up, and there is a mention of it in the liner notes, and the explanation given is that Jim Smith and Kavis both felt that tonally it didn't fit the rest of the material, and that Pet Pheasant, I think that's how you're supposed to say it felt more in keeping with the other material. And they also brought up another really interesting point that kind of changed the way I looked at Cardiacs a bit, and I just thought I'd bring it up. And that's that they said that Tim always worked with like a co-producer or a co-pilot. And in the 80s, a lot of times that was William D. Drake. And, you know, of course, this album, the co-pilot was to be Kavis. You know, that was like Tim and Kavis. And the only kind of outlier album was the Guns album, which is one that Tim kind of presented to the band fully formed. And they actually said that Pet Pheasant was the only track on this album that Tim kind of had. You know, it was kind of like his own personal project that he brought in kind of late in the game. And I just think that's an interesting way of working and kind of contrasting, you know, different styles, because, you know, you might say that Guns is a very Tim personal album, much like Pet Pheasant is a very Tim personal song. Would you guys agree with that?
Yeah.
Not being a huge Guns fan, I couldn't really tell you one way or the other. I haven't really listened to it as much as I have to others.
I'd agree.
Guns is the one that it took the longest to grow on me. I love it now, but when I was first kind of digesting all the material, Guns was the one that like There's Good Cud and Signs are 2 of my favorite songs, period. But I could almost, Pet Pheasant, it feels in line with that world, and I also very much agree with the decision to end LSD with Pet Pheasant. To me, Vermin Mangle has kind of taken on its own statement. It's its own complete world, just in that one song. Yeah.
I do. You know, you mentioned Signs. It brought up a little memory. That was the one that sealed the deal for me too. Like bug kept me coming back. And then Signs was like, it clicked just one day I played it. We all packed into a car. David Peel, one of my best buddies, my kid at the time, Nero, now Juno, she was in the trunk, or the boot. Some other friends, Linda and Sarah, and we all drove down to see Tim at his facility, my buddy Nathan Lowe, and we were all driving down there to see him. We drove past Stonehenge and just went, hey, look at Stonehenge. Don't give a shit. That's not why I'm here. But I saw it
Nobody knows who they were, what they were doing.
Drive down, we were singing Signs all together. Car to go see Tim, and it was that whole day was like magic for me, and everybody that was with me that day, we all say the same thing. And I got the painting I did of Tim. I finally got to hand him that. This bastard got me painting again, so I did a
awesome,
really horrible 30 by 30 giant painting, and I'd never do giant paintings, so I did it. I started to frame it out like Tim might do with I was going to put shells and all kinds of shit in here, but this is the original, and it's horrible.
It's not horrible. I think it's pretty awesome.
To finally get the courage to put strings on it, and then I put one right in the middle. My math doesn't math.
I think you captured a lot in that picture.
6 strings does not have a middle string, and I was so paranoid about screwing it up, and I did it, but we got to go down to his facility and hang out with him all day, and it was a beautiful 70-degree day. It was sunny. He came out, and we got to hang out in the back garden with him, and he was using his pillow, telling us these funny stories, how he used to beat on his mum settee. He had this long break in between. We're like, you just beat on your mom. Just so many funny interactions with him.
When was that?
Man, 2018, I think, something like that. My kid had him laughing so hard, doing Elmo voices and covering up a storm, swearing and doing all this stuff in that voice. And Tim was beet red, and his neck was just you could tell he was laughing his ass off. And he said, he's like, hey, there's a DVD in my room, because we were all in his room with all his stuff. And he's like, there's a DVD called Horsehead. Find it. This sets us loose, looking through all his stuff. And so we're digging through Tim's room and all his CDs and all the stuff people have sent him and all the music that he listens to, or just getting this opportunity to be close to a guy like him. Handing him his glasses was a huge thing for me. Just giving him his fucking glasses was like a major event in my life. And this is how much that music and how much what he gave me and all these people, I can't thank him enough. And just being with him, I get it. People are attracted to someone like him, and he just has an enigmatic and an energy that it comes through in that music somehow. And I'm just sad that it's over, but holy shit, I got the rest of my life to enjoy this music, and this album is just yeah. Sorry, I'm getting old.
No, that was beautiful. That was a very touching story, Eric. Thank you for sharing that. So
emotional. Everything's really emotional for me. These things happen. Life, and it's so short. Sorry. Back to happy thoughts.
I have a thought, and that is, what would have happened? You wonder what would have happened if they had finished the album in 2008, and I think it would have sounded differently.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And I think perhaps this is the better version of, this is a better expression of what it is, because of the time it took and all the emotion that is in it. It adds to it, I think.
Gavin, you're muted.
I don't know what Eric thinks, but I got a feel. I sat and wondered about that, because it's like it has another layer to me when I listen to it.
Yeah,
it's almost listening to Smile by Brian Wilson. There is something missing. There's something weird going on, but it's beautiful at the same time. When you listen to those 1966 recordings, there's some spookiness to it. There's some otherness to it.
I mean, I think had it come out in 2008 or as it was being conceived, I think it would have just been the next album, right? The next piece of work, which in and of itself, of course, is a tremendous gift, as every Cardiac's or Tim Smith adjacent album is. But yeah, I think that there is a certain this version kind of got imbued with some extra magic, because of it, kind of being, again, that love letter both to and from Tim Smith. It very much, I never had the honor of meeting him or talking to him. I've talked to and met other members of the band, but it just seems like everyone, kind of like a Frank Zappa, it seems like part of Tim's magic was the people he would find, and the people that would, that he worked with, be it John Poole, be it, William D. Drake, be it Tim Coy, Dominic Luckman, Baba, all of them, Kavas. And it's I'm rambling and I'm trying to find a coherent thought here, but
no, I see where you're going with this.
Yeah,
it's a community.
Yeah.
Does anybody know what the answer is to why a kangaroo?
Yes.
In the story, I believe it was a painting that Tim had purchased from an artist in a bar.
Wasn't it a thrift shop or something, or it was something like that?
Yeah.
So he liked the art, and he got it and put it on the album cover. Then.
Well, it was hanging on the wall of the studio, right? And
yeah, something.
And it just kind of became associated with as it's a wonderful, I know for music that I've worked on, you kind of associate the visuals of what's around you as you're writing something with, not that I'm trying to compare, my group at all to Cardiac's, but I've forever inextricably, our album our album Land Animal for me is forever linked with this particular dartboard that was in the rehearsal space where we wrote, the album. So I think it's beautiful that it was just this painting that was on the wall of the studio that they were, writing this album in, and they went at it.
They made a bunch of LSD tabs out of the picture.
Yeah, I got to get a physical
LSD in there somehow.
So as we're kind of winding down here, one question that I wanted to ask the panel, since we're all Cardiac's enthusiasts, where would you rank this album among the others?
I'd rank it right up at the top. I have no problem at all. I think it's as good as anything they've ever done. Now, I put it right up there at the top. To me, it's the Exile on Main Street, Just Sing to God's Beatles White Album.
Mm.
Sing to God just goes all over the place. And this one, to me, hangs together for some reason more than most other Cardiac albums do. And I think that's because of the way it was produced and the way the sound of it is, and that, which I think may account for that. But to me, the whole thing just hangs together as a unit more than any other Cardiac's record has to me.
Interesting.
And I think it's just awesome. And
I think Land and Sea is still going to be my favorite.
Mine as well.
Mine. Yep, that's mine too.
Ever So Closely is going to always be my favorite song.
Which one? Which one's your favorite?
Ever So Closely. Garden
Oh
Line.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Good choice.
That's just epic. I would put this in the top 3. I mean, yeah, for sure. I think probably Guns and Sing to God and LSD are kind of on the same bar for me.
Yeah,
same here. Same here, and I do think, you know, you get very happy that such music exists in this day and age, and it's absolutely a must-hear for anyone who's into British pop, British prog, British punk, anything British popular music. You better hear this because it's fantastic, and it truly belongs in it's absolutely one of the best albums of 2025. So, you know, 3 or 4 for me.
For me, On Land and in the Sea is always that's my number 1 as well. That's that's an album that I count just among my favorites of all time. You know, up there with King Crimson's Discipline, up there with, you know, and then other than that, it's kind of hard to really, you know, a lot of Cardiacs is all on the same plane for me of brilliance, you know. So it's like On Land and in the Sea is slightly, you know, for me at least, it being my favorite, it's slightly higher, but it's like millimeters of distance. You know what I mean? I probably listen to Heaven Born and Ever Bright just as much as I listen to anything.
Yeah.
You know, Sing to God, of course, is, you know, a stunning achievement.
My favorite Cardiacs is On Land and in the Sea. And I'm going to once again echo what Gavin said, and that's that they all kind of hit really close for me. And they're very similar, but they're also different in a lot of ways. But that one and Songs for Ships and Irons are like really, really close. And you know, that's kind of cheating saying Songs for Ships and Irons is like a close second because it's all singles and like there's an EP or something, but there's some really strong material there. Everything is easy.
Yes.
Burn Your House Brown is like one of my favorites.
And all his Geese Are Swans and Loose Fish Scapegrace. Like
Loose Fish Scapegrace.
Oh, I love that one.
There are times where that is my favorite Tim Smith composition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there are bits of skating that are like, oh, so close to Loose Fish for me.
There is a direct quote from the Spirit Spout on the Sea Nymphs record in Skating.
I didn't catch that.
The look out, I'm gone. I'm sure I didn't hit any of those notes right, but that is a direct lift from, in a real kind of Frank Zappa way, right? In the way that you would have, you know, melodies from something on other albums kind of crop up in you know, the whole conceptual continuity
like
thing. You've got a direct quote from Shaping the River, the Spirit Spout in Skating.
Yeah, that's interesting. So, you know, for me, like this doesn't quite reach the heights of a Sing to God or a Guns or any of that material. But it's its own thing. And, you know, I definitely need to spend more time with it and kind of figure out where it lands for me. But it's like, it's very familiar, you know, the LSD album, but it's also very different. And it kind of sets outside a lot of that stuff. So I'm still not quite sure where it sits for me. I mean, I know that the Sea Nymphs again, that might be my favorite Cardiac's anything, the first Sea Nymphs record. So it's very hard for me to quantify, but it was an interesting topic for discussion to talk about where this ranks. And, I'm looking forward to growing with it and it growing on me, because I've only heard it a couple of times. And the thing is with this album is every time I hear it, it reveals another layer of something. And it's like songs that didn't quite speak to me on the first handful of listens are now starting to, I'm starting to approach them like Volab. That was one that everybody was talking about. I'm like, I don't quite get it. But this last listen, it really nailed it for me.
I cried the first time I heard Volab. That just such a beautiful melody. And then seeing in the story that it was, largely texts between Tim and his partner.
Right.
And also just the brilliance of the line. I miss the way you tug my hair. Last night I tugged myself, but it's not the same. Genius. Utterly genius.
Absolutely.
Both, romantic and cheeky, and just a beautiful line.
He lays it bare in really subtle ways. It's so good.
Well, on that note, I want to thank you all for joining me today. I want to thank Larry Schorr, Pontus the Swedish Prog Nerd, Gavin Wallace Aylesworth, and of course, Eric Kearns. And this has been a wonderful conversation. I'm looking forward maybe to getting this group together again for something in the near future. We'll have to think about that.
I'm always down.
And as for you viewers at home, please let us know in the comments what you think of this new Cardiac's album. Things you can tell me is, where does it rank for you in the catalog? How do you feel it compares to others? Where are you like in terms of like listening to it and how it's revealing itself to you? Let me know. I would like to start a dialogue. Also, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you want to hear more from me. I'd like to put these guys together again for something. I mean, I'm sure that there's another topic that we all have in common, maybe a Zappa or something like that. So yeah, stick around. But until then, that's it for me for today and from us. And you'll hear from me real soon. So thanks. Thanks, guys.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.